So I was interested in the Harden sneakers, and I saw some reviews for it, and it kind of looked cool as a new tech and also just a new silhouette. And I was interested in the Volume 7 just because it looked odd, but the technology is supposed to be really nice in it, and it had like jet boost. So I gave them a try, but basically then found out that there's a new version coming out, and I like this version nicer, so I didn't keep that one. And this is basically the Harden Volume 8, and it's dubbed the Pioneer. And the box feels sort of rough to the touch. It's got a kind of sort of powdery sort of finish to it, and it's a nice box. So it's just quite sort of elegant and simple, and got this kind of greyish, almost sort of bluish sort of tint to it. And this is the trainer. I actually ended up by accident ordering half a size up, which I wish I didn't, because I have quite a bit of room in the toe box. It's probably like my toe sort of comes there with my sock on, so it just feels more roomier, and I seem to have quite a lot of room on that side. But the trainer itself looks really nice. When I saw pictures of these at the end of last year, I was definitely interested, and I like sort of silhouettes that look different and new. And I think this sort of goes in line with what was released as a Harden Volume 7, and this particular one sort of follows suit in terms of being the Volume 8 and just being a more up-to-date version. And also like the minimalist Adidas branding, they seem to have got that on point. So you see on the toe box there's a little 3 stripes, and also on the back this is really nice, which is the way they've done it, which is I think it was also on the Volume 7 as well. But just a fan of the way it looks as well. It looks really cool and different and unique and very sort of Yeezy-esque, and maybe that's what Adidas designers are sort of doing nowadays. They're just pushing the envelope, and in a good way. So I think the inner lining feels like the same as what was in the Volume 7, and I like this toe box as well. It's kind of this sort of leather / nubuck material. Feels sort of nice to the touch and soft, but also feels sort of that it will be quite sort of robust in terms of protectiveness. And I like the sort of pull tabs that it has on here as well to get your foot in and ease, and it feels like your foot goes in quite easily, and you're not sort of battling to try and get your foot in there, and it doesn't feel too tight. And I also like the traction. It seems to be on point, and there's herringbone in the right places, and then you got the showing off the boost at the bottom, which to the touch feels quite sort of soft and bouncy. When your foot's inside it doesn't feel as bouncy, so I'm not sure what's going on there, because I think the previous version I just felt there was more bounce. So I don't know if there's a slight change in technology, and I'll have a quick look at that. And I also like these pressure points that they've got here for your forefoot. So obviously this is meant for basketball, so you're on your sort of forefoot quite a bit for when you're jumping. So this is a nice way to kind of have that sort of radial pattern. Kind of reminds me of the Jordan 1 actually. So it's just a really cool looking trainer and different, and I think it's probably one of the best ones, because I think the one that came out last year, which is a Volume 7, the puffer jacket look, I wasn't too much of a fan of it. It was quite sort of polarizing, but when you put your foot into the shoe, it's really nice and comfortable for a basketball shoe, and it felt more like a Yeezy 350. And this one is similar, but the boost isn't as pronounced in my opinion, but it might just be me. So here are the details for the Adidas Harden Volume 8 Pioneer. It comes in a cloud white, core black and better scarlet colourway. So I think the better scarlet refers to the red on the outsole. And this also has a full length jet boost midsole. I didn't see any details in there about light strike. In the Volume 7 they use light strike in there, so I'm not sure if they're doing this one because there was no mention of it, and it doesn't feel like it. It feels slightly different. And this has a textile and synthetic upper, and it has a neoprene bootie, so basically it's the inner lining to secure your foot in place. And it also has a TPU propulsion plate, and the price was £140. So with the comfort and sizing, I think these have a medium sole because of the boost that's in there. Even though they call it jet boost, it's a slightly different tech. This one feels slightly more on the firmer side versus the Volume 7, and there's sort of less given there, but it's still sort of on the medium side and very much in line with a boost. I wouldn't say it's like as firm as a Yeezy Quantum, for example. And these have great arch and heel support as well, so your heel sits slightly elevated because of the boost, but not too much. And I also like the ankle collar, sort of the inner lining that kind of wraps around your foot and keeps your foot insecure and in place. And I think true to size does work on these, and I ended up going a full size up, and usually with Adidas trainers I usually do that. However, with this one I think I probably should have stuck with a half size up and I would have been alright. And the wearing time for these is probably around sort of 4 to 10 hours, just for the outsole to sort of soften really, and the medial lateral side of the sneaker to sort of soften in terms of the TPU material. So I like the futuristic aesthetics. I'm a big fan of what Adidas are doing, and this is kind of similar to the Adidas AE1 as well. It just puts the athlete at the forefront and the Adidas branding at the back, and it's a good thing. So it just means like you recognize the sneaker and what that sneaker is, and you associate that with a particular athlete. And so I feel that is a good touch to do, and each sneaker does look different as well. So even if it uses the same sort of tech, they do look very different, which is refreshing and nice. And I think because of the way the sneaker is constructed, I think they can be worn sort of spring, autumn, winter time. I think they're a bit heavy and maybe slightly sort of on the cumbersome side to wear in sort of summertime, because they have a bit of padding in there. And these are good at, I think, casual really. I think you could probably dress them up a little bit sort of smart casual, but not to the extent of wearing it with sort of smart trousers. But I think, you know, you might be able to get away with wearing chinos, because it feels, even though it's a futuristic look, I think you can get away with dressing it up a bit more, especially this colourway, because it's white and black. And I think black and sail laces would work on this really. I think the white on here is slightly on the creamier side, so I think that's the reason why I sort of say sail. So with the final thoughts, I like the fact that it's a new silhouette, and much like the Volume 7, it's going to be sort of polarizing, but it's still cool. And it does have great tech in there as well, so it's priced slightly lower I think than the Volume 7, and for as far as I can see, it doesn't feature light strike, but it still feels nice on foot and very much sort of like a Yeezy, a slightly firmer Yeezy 350. And it's lightweight in my opinion, so I think I've kind of looked at the trainer and I feel it's quite sort of lightweight compared to other sneakers, and it just feels really cool on foot. And I do like the full length jet boost that's in there. It just provides that extra bit of comfort, and like I said, very sort of Yeezy-esque style comfort. And also because of some sort of propulsion plate, and maybe it is light strike, but it just gives you that sort of lift off from your heel to toe. I can feel that as well, which is a bit like a New Balance Fuel Cell. In terms of the cons, I think it's a polarizing look, so it's a new silhouette, and I think people may not sort of be receptive to that. However, I'm like anything that's sort of different and new and unique, and for me it works. And I think the price at £140, it's not so bad. But at the end of the day, sort of synthetic materials, I'm not sure what the difference is between, say, this and an Adidas AE1. They both look similar in construction. I think the only thing that's different for me is that this is using jet boost, and it seems to be slightly softer than what's in the AE1. And I experienced, even though I went up a sort of full size, I experienced still a bit of sort of pinky toe tightness. So I think even if I went down sort of half a size, I think I'll still experience that, and maybe more so. But I will say the shoe does look on the wide side anyway, so even the laces, they do look quite sort of on the wide side, so I'm not sure where that's coming from, and maybe once it's sort of worn in, it might sort of recede after a while. So with the ratings, I think the look and style, I'm going to give it a 5. I really like the look. I think it's awesome, and I think it's different, unique, and very much a sort of follow and progression from the Volume 7, and I actually think it looks much better than the Volume 7. So I'm also going to give the comfort a 5. I don't think it's as nice as the Volume 7, however it does just be quite sort of neutral on foot, and that's a good thing, and it doesn't feel sort of like you're working too hard to have your foot in there. And like say the LeBron 20, that takes a little bit of time to sort of break in. It's like the LeBron 20 for example is comfortable, but it's quite hard as well at the same time. And I think with this one it feels still sort of softer on foot, not like I said, not like a traditional Yeezy Boost or the Volume 7 version, but it still feels just sort of neutral and just pleasant, I suppose is the word. And and that's kind of all you can hope for. So with the quality, I give that a 4 out of 5. I think it's one of those sneakers that, because it's just predominantly using sort of TPU and synthetic materials, it's not going to be like amazing quality. You're not going to have like plush leather and suede on there, so that's the reason why I've given it 4. But the construction is really well made, and that is always the case with Adidas. And the pricing, I'm going to give that a 4. So it's just priced a little too high. I think when you compare it to sort of an Adidas AE1, the only difference that I can see between this and that is that this one has Jet Boost, and for me, I don't know if that sort of justifies £40 extra, but Adidas will be the judge of that, I guess. But overall, I give it a 5 out of 5. I think it's a really cool design, and I actually think it works off the court as well as on the court, and it, again, it's very much in line with the Yeezy aesthetic, and it does complement the Adidas AE1 as well in terms of looks. So I'd definitely recommend getting these.